Chapter 2032. The young island master knew that it was useless to force the historiographer. It might even affect the peace between the two sides. He suppressed the rage in his heart and turned his gaze towards Yiqing Luo's direction. Ever since young island master appeared, Yiqing Luo had been sizing him up. She saw him looking at her. Yiqing Luo's lips curled as she revealed a smirk of ridicule. Godless island. Should I call you eldest young master Shi Shanglan Shi or young island lord? Hearing Yiqing Luo's words, young island master's eyes revealed an appreciative smile. He laughed softly. Qing Luo is indeed intelligent, to recognize me just like that. His smile was as gentle as when he was Shi Shanglan. Those few people behind Yiqing Luo who had interacted with Shi Shanglan before were all stunned. The young island master in front of him. His appearance and aura were completely different from Shi Shanglan. But when this smile appeared, he was stunned. This was indeed Shi Shanglan. So, Shi Shanglan's identity was fake. This person was the young island master of Godless Island. Where is the real Shi Shanglan? What did you do to him? Yan Xiaoyi gripped Xiao Jin's robes tightly as she questioned coldly. The young island master raised his eyebrows and smiled. Hey, isn't this my fiancée, Xiaoyi? No wonder you're Qing Luo's good sister. Even in the godless array, you were poisoned by our godless island's poison and you're still alive. He clicked his tongue. This young patriarch really wants to see, where is your limit, Qing Luo? I think you might not have this chance in this lifetime. Yiqing Luo's fingers clenched tightly. The poison in Yan Xiaoyi's body was indeed Godless Island's poison. The young island master laughed heartily. Yan Xiaoyi spoke again, let me ask you, where is Shi Shanglan? Her voice trembled a little. His voice was filled with anger. The young island master's mocking gaze swept towards Xiao Jin, who was carrying Yan Xiaoyi, as he laughed heartily. What? Do you miss your weak and useless fiancé? You're talking about another man in front of your lover. Aren't you afraid that he'll be jealous? Yan Xiaoyi's face darkened. She emphasized every word, where is Shi Shanglan? This time, he spat out the words with great force. Her throat tickled and she coughed violently. The young island lord laughed mockingly and said, this young lord needs his identity, so he naturally can't live in this world. However, that brat is also infatuated with you. He clearly remembers all the memories he had with you, and he wholeheartedly wants to marry you into the Shi clan in the future. He shook his head and clicked his tongue. Sigh, what a pity for that infatuated boy. In the end, his woman was stolen by another man, and he even lost his life. Yan Xiaoyi's coughing became increasingly violent. She gripped Xiao Jin's sleeves tightly, her chest heaving up and down. It was obvious that he was furious. Xiao Jin comforted her gently. Young island lord, are you trying to make things difficult for us or are you trying to get Yuhan and that old man to leave? Yiqing Luo raised her voice, overshadowing the sound of their confrontation. She leisurely walked toward the young island master. Her fiery red dress looked even more enchanting under the sky full of blood. However, just based on what you said just now, I say that, you can forget about taking away those two people who snuck into the lower realms and violated the balance of the lower realms. She lifted her lower jaw slightly. Her tone was extremely arrogant. The young island master's face sunk. Yiqing Luo, you don't want Yan Xiaoyi's antidote. Yiqing Luo's flamboyant smile froze. After some time, she pursed her pink lips tightly. How can I believe that what you've given is the real antidote? Chapter 2033. Yiqing Luo's face sunk slightly, unable to refute. This is the consequence of valuing relationships. The young island master snorted disdainfully and said disdainfully, it's because you value relationships too much that you have your hands and feet tied and are easily threatened by others. for such feelings. The young island master expressed that he would absolutely not be tainted by such feelings that would prevent him from succeeding. He smiled. If you want to save Yan Xiaoyi, then, let the historian release those two people. Qing Luo, don't agree to him. Yan Xiaoyi suppressed her coughing voice, he's not that kind-hearted. The poison in my body is almost gone. As long as I rest for a few days, I will be able to recover. If you hand over those two people from the Earth domain to Godless Island, you will be releasing a tiger back into the mountains. She believed in the ghost doctor's medical skills. If Yan Xiaoyi's poison was nurtured properly, there was at least an 80% chance that it could be completely cleared. But, did Yan Xiaoyi really have a chance to recuperate? Many things had happened during the Academy Exchange Conference. Her devil class, the world group etc. reputation had already spread far and wide in Nirvana realm. After that, he would go to the class of gods for training. Or perhaps, countless troubles were lurking in the shadows. These troubles could very possibly worsen Yan Xiaoyi's injuries. Better safe than sorry. Qing Luo couldn't risk her own brothers. Gentlemen, we don't have much time left. If we haven't come to a conclusion, we'll take our leave first. The scrivener could feel the turbulence in the air. He decisively decided to flee and avoid the confrontation between the two of them. That was the correct choice. Haven't you decided yet? The young island master curled his lips lightly. This is your only chance. Qing Luo pursed her pink lips. On her beautiful face, there was light flowing in her eyes. Ripples appeared in her eyes, making it hard for others to see through her thoughts. The young island master was not anxious. He knew that for Yan Xiaoyi's sake, Qing Luo would definitely agree to his terms. On one side were two insignificant people from the land domain. On the other side was her good sister. Qing Luo would definitely choose her good sister. Qing Luo hesitated for a moment before she slowly opened her mouth. He had just spat out a word. The expression on the young island master's face was one of pride and confidence. Qing Luo was about to spit out the next word. Suddenly, Qing Luo felt as though her chest was brushed by something icy cold. Her throat had actually lost its voice in this instant. What was going on? Who was sneaking up on her? Qing Luo raised her eyebrows vigilantly as she released her perception and judged the direction of that icy cold feeling. She only had time to see a purple figure flash by. When he looked again, he saw a dense mass of commoners. That purple figure seemed to be just an illusion. But Qing Luo was very clear. That was definitely not an illusion. She searched for any memory of this figure in her mind. But after thinking about it for a long time, she couldn't find any memories. The only thing he could be sure of was, based on the figure's petite figure, it was definitely a woman. Women, to be able to seal her voice without her noticing. When did the Western continent have such a character? Furthermore, that woman's motive seemed to be to stop her from speaking. After sealing her voice, that woman hurriedly left. Qing Luo. What tricks are you trying to play again? The young island master who hadn't received a reply from Qing Luo started to get anxious. Star. Chapter 2034. Qing Luo regained her senses from her deep thoughts as she raised her eyes to look at young island master. He opened his mouth, but no sound came out. Her thin eyebrows were tightly knitted together as she mobilized her profound heart jade to break through the power that had sealed her voice. However, he had forcefully used the power of the profound jade heart and activated the power of the divine tool twice. The profound heart jade had already exceeded its limit. She couldn't break through that power at all. Moreover, she could clearly feel that the pendant which Dmo Xian had given her to suppress the profound heart jade, was also showing faint signs of cracking. She couldn't be willful anymore. Otherwise, once her profound jade heart loses its restriction, she would be swallowed by the profound jade heart. She steadied her mind and dismissed the idea of breaking through that force. Young Island Master's expression darkened. I thought you were a person who valued relationships and loyalty. Since you don't want to save Yen Xiaoyi, then this young master will tell you the truth. For this kind of poison, if there's no antidote within 5 days, Yen Xiaoyi will turn into a puddle of corpse water. Yiqing Luo's pupils contracted abruptly. However, the expression on her face remained indifferent. She did not speak. The young island master's mental state exploded. Threats and carrots were all unable to make Yiqing Luo relent. If he still couldn't complete this task, his father would definitely give up on him. This was his last chance. No matter what, he had to keep his position as the young island master. Young island master thought that Yiqing Luo's silence was because she intentionally put on a high profile, not willing to bother with him. But Yen Xiaoyi and the others could tell that something was wrong with Yiqing Luo. Yen Xiaoyi tugged at Qiao Jin's sleeve. Qiao Jin carried Yen Xiaoyi as he walked towards Yiqing Luo. Yen Xiaoyi said by the side, "You don't need to threaten us. You've spent so much effort to get close to us, don't you know that Qing Luo's master is the ghost doctor who is known as Ghost Hand Doctor?" The young island lord scoffed, "If the ghost doctor could cure the poison in your body, you wouldn't be unable to walk right now." As soon as he finished speaking, Qiao Jin's hands suddenly froze. He hugged Yen Xiaoyi's slender waist tightly, the calm expression on his face no longer existed. "Xiaoyi. The ghost doctor he doesn't have the antidote." Qiao Jin lowered his voice. Yen Xiaoyi's gaze wavered slightly. "Haven't I already gotten much better? Don't you believe in the ghost doctor's medical skills?" "Xiaoyi." Qiao Jin's tone became heavier as he tightened his grip. "What he said, is it true?" 5 days. Only 5 days. Yen Xiaoyi lowered her eyes. Qiao Jin's heart thumped. Yiqing Luo's heart thumped hard. Clearly, the young island master's words were all true. Yen Xiaoyi herself knew that the remaining poison in her body had not been expelled. The ghost doctor had also clearly told her about the 5-day deadline. The ghost doctor had also promised her that she would try to think of a solution within 5 days. Qing Luo, those two people are unimportant, if Shi Shang. He is willing to use the antidote to exchange, I think. I think it's possible. Qiao Jin immediately looked towards Yiqing Luo. From Yen Xiaoyi's expression, he could tell. The young island lord's words were all true. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips tightly as her charming eyes were suffused with a biting cold glint. When Qiao Jin saw that she did not speak, he became even more anxious in his heart. Just as he was about to open his mouth, Yen Xiaoyi grabbed him. Qing Luo seems to have lost her voice. Qiao Jin was stunned. It seemed that indeed. Ever since Yiqing Luo was about to answer the young island lord, she had not said a single word. Qiao Jin stopped his mouth as his eyes were filled with anxiety and couldn't conceal his worry. Yiqing Luo shook her head at him. "Young island lord, Miss Yi, we really cannot stay on in Nirvana realm any longer." Librarian saw the current atmosphere and didn't want to get involved in this dispute. Star. Chapter 2035. If they stayed in the lower realm for too long, it would affect the balance of the lower realm. It would also affect the balance of the lower realm. Saying that, the 30 of them had no intention to stay any longer. Historiographer's palm flipped and that hole in the sky suddenly appeared with a golden light. It descended from the sky, projecting a golden long bridge. Historiographer led his men and stepped onto the long bridge. Historiographer. Young island master's expression congealed as he called out anxiously, while shooting a glance at the islanders on Godless Island. Immediately, over 100 people stood in front of the court scribes, blocking their path. That golden long bridge's path was blocked. Historiographer's face sunk. What does young island master mean? Historiographer, today I am under my father's orders to bring these two people back to Godless Island. If historiographer is unwilling to give Godless Island this face, then I can only offend you. Young island master couldn't care so much anymore. As long as he could complete the task which his father had set, even if he had to use force, he wouldn't hesitate. Young island master, you better understand the difference between your godless island and the heavenly Tao realm. If you want to use force, I have the right to detain you and bring you to the heavenly Tao realm for punishment according to the laws of the heavenly Tao for disrupting the work of the historian. The historiographer frowned. Young island master had no intention to give in. I absolutely have no intention to become enemies with historiographer. If it wasn't for Yi Ching Luo's insistence, I wouldn't treat historiographer in this way. Instead, he pushed his current actions onto Yi Ching Luo. If Yi Ching Luo could speak now, she would definitely ridicule young island master. Damn it, you can't shit but blame the latrine pit? Historiographer wasn't an idiot. Hearing young island master's self-righteous words, his dissatisfaction towards young island master rose by another level. His face sunk as he sneered, "Young island master, I would like to see how you are going to stop me." Just as he finished his words, a powerful wave of air surged around the historiographer. Profound energy surged and profound chi intertwined. In a split second, the 100 over people who were blocking in front of him were all shaken by this strong energy as they all retreated a few steps. The 100 people stood close together. Once someone lost his footing, he crashed into countless people one after another. On the blood-stained ground, dozens of people collapsed. The young island master's brocade robe fluttered in the strong wind. Looks like the librarian insists on helping Yi Ching Luo. Then don't blame this junior for being impolite. Not to be outdone, he also shot out blazing profound energy that rolled like a tide, contending against the historiographer. When the young island master released his profound energy, he didn't even have the time to collide with the clerk. Suddenly, a gust of wind blew past. He easily cut off the two forces that were about to collide. Wherever the hurricane went, whirlpools were set off. Regardless of whether it was the profound chi released by the young island master or the keeper of the temple. Under the hurricane, it dissipated completely in an instant. The hurricane subsided. It was quiet all around. It was as if nothing had happened. The eyes of the custodian and the young island master were filled with shock. He seemed to be unable to understand. Where exactly did the power that had interrupted their profound energy come from? The two of them were in shock. Whereas on the other side, Yi Ching Luo's eyes shone brightly. Her devastatingly beautiful face suddenly became dazzling. Her lips curled upwards as she couldn't stop smiling. "Ah, Xian!" A sweet voice was heard from her mouth. She was stunned as she clutched her throat. She could now make a sound again. Was it because Ah Xian was here? Star. Chapter 2036. When the crowd heard Yi Ching Luo's voice, their hearts trembled. Ah Xian. Who was the person whom Yi Ching Luo was calling for? Whereas Qiao Jin, Yan Xiao Yi and the others, when they heard Yi Ching Luo's voice, they all revealed an overjoyed expression. Yi Ching Luo's face was already smiling, like the girl next door, as she sprinted forward. Young island master's face instantly turned pale like paper. His body was shaking like a sieve. Others didn't know who Yi Ching Luo was calling for. He knew. And he knew it clearer than anyone else. The historian's attention was also attracted by Yi Ching Luo's joyful call. The crowd looked towards the direction where Yi Ching Luo sprinted towards. They only saw the golden light shining on the horizon, as a tall figure appeared against the light. In the exchange of light and shadow, he looked especially devilishly charming. Like a deity descending to earth, every inch closer he got, the entire public square's atmosphere became more shocked. Slowly, that figure got nearer. A billowing purple robe hung loosely on his body, even his flying black hair was scattered over his shoulders, showing a lazy look. His sleeves were wide, like the rolling clouds, his imposing manner was extremely majestic. Just looking at him like that, the crowd had a feeling of kneeling down in submission. As though he was born to be an almighty deity. The red-robed young lady got closer to him. The young lady's alluring face bloomed into a radiant smile. Her eyes were filled with sweetness and happiness. She threw herself into the man's broad embrace. He lowered his eyes, gazing at the young lady in his arms, as his thin lips twitched slightly, smiling. In a split second, everything on heaven and earth seemed to have lost all its luster. The golden light on the horizon was not as dazzling as this smile of his. His black eyes were gleaming, with a devilish and unrestrained aura, his narrow peach blossom eyes, rippling with rippling luster. The smile on the corners of his lips softened his cold and stiff aura. A man and a woman, hugging each other. It was as beautiful as a beautiful painting. That kind of compatibility made one yearn for it. This dog food was so king exciting. The Overlord. It's the Overlord. The Overlord is here. The public square instantly went into an uproar. The commoners spontaneously knelt onto the ground. When the various powerhouses people saw Dmo Xian, they uniformly knelt down. They could not hide the fear and excitement in their hearts. Of course, the most terrifying thing was, it was none other than the dark forces and the small forces that had joined the dark forces. Anyone with eyes could see it. What kind of relationship did the Overlord and Yiqing Luo have? However, after the shock and excitement passed, those small forces were still hoping to get lucky. He asked the dark forces what they had said earlier. Isn't there an internal strife in the Imperial Palace? I heard that His Excellency Di Zun has been busy dealing with the changes in the Imperial Palace these past few days. Why would he come to the West Continent? This man is a fake overlord. How could the real Lord Di Zun appear in the West Continent? That's right. The Imperial Palace was in an uproar. Miss Win Chime, the granddaughter of the Imperial Palace's grandmother, took her grandmother and dispersed most of the Imperial Palace's forces. The matter of the Arch Palace had yet to be resolved. Why would he come here? Those small forces kept denying the authenticity of this man. However, regardless of whether it was the royal army or the commoners, they all had eyes all right. It wasn't something that those small forces would believe just by casually saying it out. Indeed, it wasn't difficult to disguise as the Overlord and imitate the Overlord's appearance. But Chapter 2037. Speaking of which, the Imperial Palace had such a huge incident and the Overlord had specially come over. Among the crowd, there were many young ladies and women. After hearing those few small powerhouses' words, they immediately cupped their faces as their hearts rippled with love. Nothing is more important than my own wife in this world. A peerless man. Such a man, why can't I meet him? The subtext was, such a good man, it wouldn't be too much even if you gave me a dozen. There were many present who didn't know about the relationship between Yiqing Luo and Dmo Xian. But she had never thought that Dmo Xian would really pamper Yiqing Luo in the palm of his hand. At this moment, Dmo Xian's appearance was obviously to support Yiqing Luo. Who was the Overlord? Nirvana Realm's legend. A heaven-defying existence that surpassed all realms. Overlord. Overlord. Godless Island and the historians all knelt down. No matter how unwilling young Island Master was. But facing Dmo Xian, he had to kneel down. His heart was pounding violently. as though it was going to jump out from his throat. He knew how much Dmo Xian doted on Yiqing Luo. For today, to let the wolf saint technique successfully occupy the West continent. He specially made Feng Ling join hands with the Imperial Palace's granny, to cause a huge commotion in the Imperial Palace, so that Dmo Xian couldn't be separated to intervene in the West continent's matters. But Dmo Xian actually came. He didn't receive any news from Feng Ling, which meant that the crisis in the Imperial Palace had not been resolved. Dmo Xian abandoned the Imperial Palace and rushed over to the West continent. No matter how he calculated, he didn't expect Yiqing Luo actually occupied such an important position in Dmo Xian's heart. He didn't even care about the Imperial Palace's downfall. Shouldn't a man place his own status as the most important? Love affairs were just a spice to life when life was boring. As a dignified Dizun, he regarded love as the most important thing in the world. He didn't know if he should laugh at Dmo Xian's stupidity. He should admire Dmo Xian's confidence. Yiqing Luo raised her head as her red robe fluttered in the wind, her fine black hair fluttered in the wind, revealing her stunning looks. "Ah Xian, haven't you settled the Imperial Palace's matter?" Yiqing Luo heard the surrounding discussions and understood that those small-sized powerhouses' words weren't fake. She lowered her eyelashes. "I'm sorry, I pushed Feng Ling too hard. If it weren't for the fact that she was working together with the headquarters and wanted to put a bounty on Wind Chime's head, with Feng Ling's love for Dmo Xian, Feng Ling would never do anything to harm Dmo Xian or the Imperial Palace. The Imperial Palace was Dmo Xian's blood and sweat. The Imperial Palace's granny was also considered as Dmo Xian's elder. Because of her, it caused the destruction of Dmo Xian's Imperial Palace, and also caused the only relationship between Dmo Xian and the Imperial Palace's granny to be completely severed. "Silly Luo, what are you apologizing for?" Dmo Xian's slender fingers poked Yiqing Luo's forehead. "The Imperial Palace is merely a toy that I use to kill time when I'm bored. If I want to, I can lead the remaining disciples in the Imperial Palace to casually establish a second Imperial Palace, which is as easy as flipping my palm. As for Feng Ling, she would bring away a large portion of the Imperial Palace's forces, which is within my expectations." Yiqing Luo buried her head into his arms. "Why didn't you stop her?" Chapter 2038. Yiqing Luo pursed her lips tightly. Her little head rubbed against Dmo Xian's arms. The expression on Dmo Xian's face turned gentler. Seeing this, the surrounding girls all held their cheeks and shrieked incessantly. Dmo Xian patted Yiqing Luo's head lightly as he looked at the crowd kneeling on the ground as his voice regained its indifference. "Get up." The crowd stood up shakily. Dmo Xian's gaze lightly swept past Librarian as he pretended to inadvertently glance at the dark forces who were tied up one after another. "What's the matter with Librarian, sir? These people who had violated the lower realm's order are still here. Do you think that this matter hasn't been blown out of proportion?" Librarian Sir felt a chill down his spine as his forehead was filled with cold sweat as he trembled and hung his head down. "Overlord, please forgive me, It's Godless Island's young island master who wants to demand for people from me. These people have violated the lower realm's balance, so I naturally can't agree to it." "So young island master. So he fought with me, which is why it has been stagnated till now." The librarian decisively pushed all the blame onto the young island master. He didn't mention that he was afraid of Godless Island's power, so he pushed young island master to Yiqing Luo. If he had known earlier that Yiqing Luo and Overlord had such a relationship, what face did he have to give Godless Island? No matter how much face he had, he was no match for the Overlord. "Oh." Dmo Xian's brows rose as he looked at young island master with a smile which didn't look like a smile. "When did Godless Island become so powerful? You even dare to fight with Heavenly Ways Librarian?" Young island master was swept by his gaze. His entire body instantly turned soft. His legs turned soft as he knelt onto the ground again. Overlord, I just... His stuttering voice was unable to spit out any further words. TSK, I remember that young island master doesn't care about me. Why are you so afraid? Dmo Xian hugged Yiqing Luo as he slowly walked towards young island master. That pair of shimmering peach blossom eyes were extremely dazzling. However, when the two of them met, they couldn't help but laugh. He felt a chill in his heart. The young island master trembled, his face pale. I wouldn't dare to look down on Dizun. Using Lil Luo, Er's maiden family to lure Lil Luo, and this lord into the soulless formation, attempting to use the soulless formation to kill this lord and Lil Luo, in the formation. Isn't this the young island master's doing? Dmo Xian gave a light smile. His thin, rosy red lips curved into a devilish, cold arc. The young island master shook his head in horror. Lord Overlord, please spare my life. Lord Overlord, please spare my life. How arrogant had he been before? There were so many cowards now. At that time, Wuxia had specially advised him and talked about his confidence. Only now did he understand. He had underestimated Dmo Xian's ability. When they really face to face. Only then did he truly understand how far the gap between him and the Overlord was. Do you still remember what I said last time? Dmo Xian's fingers gently caressed Yiqing Luo's fine hair, but when he looked towards young island master, his voice was as though it was wrapped in frost. The young island lord felt a chill down his spine. He remembered. Of course he remembered. At that time, when Dmo Xian led a group of people to break the soulless formation, he said that sentence to him, "Convey this to your island master, regarding today's matter, I will personally pay a visit to discuss with island master in detail." It was just a simple sentence. But it made him become a nightmare in the following nights, pestering him in his dreams. And it was precisely because of this. This time round when he saw Dmo Xian's appearance. Young island master's fear towards Dmo Xian rose to the peak. Dmo Xian met with young island master's terrified eyes, like a whirlpool, sucking young island master into a deep pool. Star. Chapter 2039. Peed. Godless Island's young island master was so scared that he peed. Ha ha ha, look at his clothes, ha 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 ha. A sudden laughter came from the crowd. Following that, numerous people looked over. Young island master was dressed in a dark brocade robe and one could clearly see that there was an obvious watermark on his buttocks. Apparently, he was scared by Dmo Xian and peed his pants. The tense atmosphere also collapsed at this moment. Everyone held their bellies and laughed. Young island master held his buttocks as his face turned green and white. The people laughed at him. The royal army also laughed at him. Everyone around him was laughing at him. His face was ashen as he angrily rebuked the godless islanders. What are you waiting for? Take off your clothes. The islanders of the godless island looked embarrassed, angry, and annoyed. Young island master represented the entire godless island. But young island master was in the lowly lower realm, in front of so many lowly lower realm people, he did such a powerless and disgraced godless island. They all felt like their faces were on fire, extremely embarrassed. Hearing young island master using a commanding tone to rebuke them. The shame in the bottom of the islanders' hearts welled up. Young island master. Godless Island's reputation has been swept away because of you and you still don't know it. Today's matter, I will definitely report it to Island Master in full detail. He roared as he untied his outer robe and threw it at young Island Master. The clothes that reeked of a man's sweat covered his face. The coarse cloth cut the skin on his face. He was infuriated as he tugged the robe down and stared at that islander furiously. just as he was about to reprimand. But he heard a light and hoarse voice, "Young island master, I don't have the leisure to waste time on you. If you know what's good for you, hand over the antidote of Lil Luo's maiden family, otherwise. I don't mind bringing Lil Luo up to Godless Island to ask for the antidote myself." Young island master's body shook violently. Both his hands unconsciously tightened the coarse cloth robe in his hands. Inexplicably, he recalled the time when he exchanged glances with Dmo Xian. Dmo Xian's eyes were deep like a whirlpool, as if he wanted to absorb the feeling of his soul. The young island master immediately wrapped the coarse robe around his waist, covering his embarrassing part. "Since His Majesty asked for the antidote personally, I will naturally give it to him. But, Lord Dizun, to tell you the truth, those two people in the land domain are not the people that Godless Island wants to take them away. It's the man called Yuhan. He is." Young island master looked to the left and right as he got closer to Dmo Xian and lowered his voice. "He's from God Realm. Divine Realm." Upon hearing these two words, Yiqing Luo was slightly stunned. Chapter 2041. Young Island Lord. No, he who had failed the mission had already lost his right to be the Young Island Lord. He couldn't even be compared to the ordinary islanders of Godless Island. Now, he should be called Dao Yegan. Hearing Dmo Xian's warning, Dao Yegan gave a low laugh. His face was filled with despair as his eyes were empty and lifeless, revealing a sliver of insanity. "Antidote. If I can't bring the two of them away, I will absolutely not hand over the antidote." Dao Yegan tilted his head as he pointed towards Yan Shaoyi's direction and laughed. "Anyway, if I can't bring the two of them away, I will absolutely not be able to live. Why not? Let my fiancé die together with me." As he said that, he couldn't help but burst out laughing. Bam! Dmo Xian's sleeves fluttered and the purple glow was extremely dazzling. Dao Yegan's body was sent flying backward. His tall body landed heavily on the broken stones and blood. He gave a dull moan as he sprawled on the ground, too lazy to climb up. Instead, he coughed while laughing maniacally. "Kill me. Dmo Xian, aren't you very powerful? Then kill me. Ha ha ha." It was obvious that Dao Yegan was determined to die. Dmo Xian's brows creased slightly as he gazed at Dao Yegan. His slender fingers lifted up slightly as a piercing ray spread out from his fingertips. "Ah Xian, he wants to die but I don't want him to die." Yiqing Luo hugged Dmo Xian's arm, suppressing his murderous intent. The young lady's sweet voice was clear and pleasant to the ears. "He has a good idea. If you kill him, not only will he gain a good reputation, he can also erase the embarrassing incident of him peeing in his pants when he saw you earlier. By then, even if there's a new young island lord, everyone in Godless Island will only say, 'Look, our previous young island lord, because of Godless Island Lord's orders, he died in the hands of the Overlord. This is the young island lord who sacrificed his life for Godless Island. The other young island lords will only live under his halo in future.'" Lying on the ground, Dao Yegan, who was laughing maniacally, suddenly stopped. Having his thoughts exposed, he stared blankly at Yiqing Luo. As though he couldn't understand why Yiqing Luo was able to guess his plans so thoroughly. Was his performance that obvious? Rather than letting him die with a good name, it's better to let your name spread far and wide. Yiqing Luo scoffed softly as her brows curved. "Extremely crafty, since he values his reputation so much, then let's start from his reputation." She wrapped her arms around Dmo Xian's neck and stuffed her head into his arms as she beamed and said, "Ah Xian, since we're already here, why don't we bring young island master to Godless Island?" Dmo Xian's eyes were filled with adoration. He helplessly looked at the girl in his arms and sighed softly, but nodded his head in a doting manner. "Okay. At this point, Dao Yegan could no longer laugh. Bring him to Godless Island. Wouldn't his reputation be completely ruined? Even today, in the mortal world, being scared by a venerable sovereign would also become a laughing stock on the Godless Island. No, absolutely not like this. He was the war god young island lord in the hearts of the Godless Island's islanders. He was the Godless Island's islanders' revered young island lord. His reputation absolutely could not be ruined. He had to admit that Yi Qing Luo had grasped Dao Yegan's Achilles heel. It was a simple speech. Dao Yegan could only obediently hand over the antidote. He even regretted and was annoyed that he had revealed the poison in Yan Shaoyi's body. Star. Chapter 2042. After getting the antidote, Yi Qing Luo didn't immediately let Yan Shaoyi consume it. She used the 100-pill refining technique to filter the ingredients of the antidote. After confirming that the antidote did not contain any ingredients that could harm her life, she placed the antidote into the profound phoenix ring. Although she filtered it again. But in the end, he still had to let the ghost doctor personally confirm it. After all, the 100 refinement pill was just a secret manual. He didn't know how to be flexible. Better safe than sorry. As it concerned Yan Shaoyi's life, Yi Qing Luo could not take any risks. After getting the antidote, Yi Qing Luo's slender brows rose slightly as she looked at Dao Yegan with a smile which didn't look like a smile. She looked at Dao Yegan whose face was filled with anger but didn't dare to flare up as she laughed softly. Seeing that you're sensible enough to hand over the antidote, tell me. Should I fulfill your reputation and let Xian take your life? Dao Yegan shuddered as he abruptly raised his head and stared at Yi Qing Luo, his eyes filled with terror. In the end, he was still afraid of death. Admiring Island Yi Qian's green and white complexion, Yi Qing Luo's lips curled upwards contemptuously, as she gave an extremely satisfied smile. Then I'll spare your lowly life. I'll also send my regards to the island master. Dao Yeqin clenched his fists tightly as his body tensed up, as if he was trying to suppress his anger. But even if he was enraged by Yi Qing Luo's ridicule, he still did not speak. Yi Qing Luo scoffed lightly. She really thought that Dao Yegan was very capable. He was just a weakling who was outwardly strong but inwardly weak. Yi Qing Luo yawned lazily. On the importance of hugging onto a thick thigh. This was an example. With the antidote in hand, the battle was over. Yi Qing Luo and the others had no intention to continue staying. After all, everyone was already exhausted from the continuous battle. The new monarch Ling Fengying called out to the royal army as well as the citizens who had volunteered to detain those small-sized powerhouses. The Yan family did not give up and kept calling Yan Shaoyi's name. Earlier, the overlord had personally admitted that Yan Shaoyi was Yi Qing Luo's maiden's family, and in the overlord's heart, that was a pivotal position. As long as Yan Shaoyi was willing to save them. Get in touch with Yan Shaoyi. Then they would be able to get close to His Majesty. The Yan family scolded Yan Jinfei and kept bad-mouthing Yan Shaoyi, trying to recall Yan Shaoyi's longing for kinship. However, until they were dragged away by the royal army, Yan Shaoyi didn't even look at them. Qiao Jin looked at the exhausted woman in his arms and asked in a low voice with heartache, "Are you tired?" "It's too noisy here, I'll bring you back to the old mansion to rest. When the ghost doctor rushes back, you'll be able to recover." Yan Shaoyi nodded lightly and leaned on Qiao Jin's shoulder. She closed her eyes tiredly. He was indeed very tired. It wasn't just physical exhaustion. There was also the exhaustion of his heart. Sure enough, without hope, one wouldn't be so sad. She had long been disappointed in the Yan family, therefore, when she saw the hysterical Yan family trying to please her and beg her. That was why he could be so calm. But, the human heart was made of flesh. He would be lying if he said he wasn't sad. But, such sadness and exhaustion. In the end, it would disappear with the passage of time. If he softened his heart and stayed in the Yen family, the one who got hurt in the end would definitely be her. Relatives, she only needed devil class, the world group and everyone, that was enough. The public square became orderly. Yi Qing Luo and the others were sent off under the citizens' respectful and revering gazes, as they headed towards the direction of the old mansion. The bunch of people from Three Springs sect looked at each other in dismay and decisively chose to follow Yi Qing Luo and the others. Chapter 2043. Yi Qing Luo realized that there were hundreds of people dressed in Three Springs sect's uniform following behind. She had no choice but to send them back to Three Springs sect to tidy up the mess that Yi Qing Qian and Yi Fengru had created. After things had settled down, she would hold the Three Springs sect's patriarch succession ceremony. The hundreds of people from Three Springs sect were completely submissive towards Yi Qing Luo. Yi Qing Luo's command made them respond in unison, yes. After that, the hundreds of them turned around and rushed towards the direction of Three Springs sect. Just at this moment, a sharp voice was heard, "Who dares to leave?" That voice, Yi Qing Luo paused and looked towards the direction of the voice. She saw Yi Fengru holding a dagger against Nangong Lin's neck. His usually elegant face was now filled with madness and malevolence. He restrained Nangong Lin and bellowed, "I'm the patriarch of Three Springs sect. I'm the patriarch. You bunch of traitors of Three Springs sect. Are you trying to betray Three Springs sect?" The hundreds of people from Three Springs sect were stunned by Yi Fengru's malevolent expression. In their hearts, Yi Fengru had always been a good young master. He was in charge of all the expenses of Three Springs sect, exhausting his own ability to contribute silently for Three Springs sect. But, what was it that made their gentle and refined second young master turn into such a state? Power? Ambition? Or was he just like that? Yi Fengru. Nangong Firen looked at him in disbelief. "Do you know what you're doing? Do you know who you're pointing your dagger at?" Yi Fengru stared fiercely at Nangong Firen. "If you still treat me as your brother, go and kill Yi Qing Luo. Avenge Qianqian." Yi Fengru. Have you lost your mind? Nangong Firen gritted his teeth in anger. He had never hated Zi Qianqian's existence as much as now. Yi Fengru sneered, "I'm not crazy, I'm clear-headed. Nangong Firen, you like Yi Qing Luo so you won't feel heartache for Qianqian dying in her hands. But I feel heartache. Qianqian was such a good lady and she died just like that. She died without a complete corpse." As he spoke, Yi Fengru's voice became as terrifying as a devil's. He increased the strength in his hand and said, "I lost my beloved woman. Don't you feel bad for Nangong Lin? Fine. I'll kill her. I'll kill her and let you have a taste of what it feels like to lose someone you value." Yi Fengru. Brother Ru. Nangong Lin felt a sharp pain in her neck, and her eyes were filled with astonishment. She could feel a warm liquid seeping out of her neck. That pain was nothing compared to the pain in her heart. Nangong Lin couldn't help but shed tears. "Big brother Ru, you promised me that you'd forget about big sister Qianqian. As long as I cooperate with you and help you escape, you'll be with me. Why? Why are you treating me like this?" Nangong Lin felt as though her heart was being torn apart. It was precisely because she loved Yi Fengru. Therefore, she knew that her brother would be angry. Without hesitation, she chose to use herself as a hostage to help Yi Fengru escape. But Yi Fengru wanted to kill her. Nangong Lin wasn't stupid. She could feel the biting cold murderous intent from Yi Fengru. He really wanted to kill her. "Lin, don't you like me very much? So now, in order to let your brother Ru be happy, for Brother Ru to die, isn't that good? Yifengru listened to Nangong Lin's broken sobs as he leaned close to her ear and laughed maniacally. Chapter 2044. Yifengru. You bastard. Nangong Firen's chest heaved with anger. His eyes turned scarlet, but he did not dare to act rashly. He was afraid that he would move. Yifengru would really kill Nangong Lin in the heat of the moment. Even Nangong Firen, who had known Yifengru for several years, had never seen Yifengru in such a sick state. Bastard! You're the one who doesn't care about Qianqian. Don't tell me you're not a bastard. Yifengru laughed instead of getting angry. Qianqian colluded with the dark forces, that's what she deserved. Even if she didn't die, my killing god mercenary group will not tolerate her. Nangong Firen frowned and said, Ru, for the sake of our many years of life and death together, let Lin go. I won't hold this against you. Ha ha ha. Between us, from the moment you fell in love with Yi Qing Luo, there's no more brotherhood to speak of. Yifeng Ru roared malevolently, the dagger in his hand increased the strength. Nangong Lin screamed in pain and struggled to break free. Nangong Firen's eyes were bloodshot and his body was tense. Looking at the dagger, he really didn't hesitate to slash his sister's neck. Nangong Firen could no longer hold back and lunged forward. Boom! Ah! Two voices sounded at the same time. The sound of something falling to the ground was heard. It was the sound of the man screaming in pain again. Nangong Firen dashed forward and caught Nangong Lin, who was weak and feeble, in his arms. His hands were trembling slightly. Lin. Nangong Firen's voice was trembling. Nangong Lin, who had lost too much blood, blinked her eyelashes weakly. She stared at Nangong Firen's face with unfocused eyes. After a long while, he finally managed to get it into focus. Brother. Nangong Lin's voice was weak as she panted heavily. I'm sorry. Nangong Firen quickly tore off his clothes and covered her neck. Don't talk, Lin. I will save you. I will definitely save you. Nangong Lin blinked her eyes weakly. She parted her lips slightly and breathed out silently. However, he could not utter a single word. It was only when death arrived that Nangong Lin realized how foolish she had been. Only by experiencing pain would one know how to grow. She bitterly loved a man who didn't love her back. She even made her brother sad for her. She was really a failure of a sister. If there was a next life, she still wanted to be her brother's sister, but next time, she would be the one to love him. His consciousness gradually dissipated. Nangong Lin felt as light as a feather. Was his soul about to leave his body? She could still vaguely hear her brother shouting her name at the top of his lungs. She wanted to laugh and reassure her brother. But I really don't have any strength left, TSK. Isn't it just a stab? Why do you have to make it seem like a drama? Suddenly, a speechless and impatient voice sounded. Nangong Lin felt as if something was stuffed into her mouth. Then, his light body was suddenly pulled down. His consciousness gradually became clear. Then, he felt a sharp pain in his neck. She let out a blood-curdling scream. His voice was a little hoarse, but it wasn't as weak as before. Nangong Firen tightened his grip and looked at Nangong Lin with joy. Linner. Look at your brother, look at your brother. Nangong Lin's eyes met Nangong Firen's. She opened her mouth and wanted to speak. She felt another sharp pain in her neck. That irritating and impatient voice sounded again. If you don't want your throat to be damaged, you'd better shut up. Nangong Lin held her breath. Through Nangong Firen's shoulder, she saw a young girl dressed in red crossed her arms in front of her chest and looked at her with an impatient expression. Star. Chapter 2045. It was Yi Qing Luo. It was actually Yi Qing Luo. Nangong Lin's eyes widened as she looked at Yi Qing Luo in shock. Why did Yi Qing Luo come out to save her? Obviously. She had also done many overboard things to Yi Qing Luo. He had always treated Yi Qing Luo as a thorn in his side. Why did Yi Qing Luo save her at this moment? Don't look at me with such loving eyes. Yi Qing Luo rolled her eyes at Nangong Lin. Whether you're dead or alive, I really don't care, but I don't want my second brother who betrayed Three Springs sect to have his way. You. Nangong Lin's face turned pale. She knew that this woman was not a kind person. Nangong Firen immediately covered Nangong Lin's mouth. Lin, don't talk. Big brother will take you back to the Nangong family. The doctor will heal your injuries. Nangong Lin's mouth moved, but she stopped because of the sharp pain in her throat. After Nangong Firen comforted his younger sister, he carried Nangong Lin in his arms and stood up. He looked at Yi Qing Luo. There wasn't the slightest bit of unnecessary emotion in his eyes. Her eyes were clear and filled with gratitude. Miss Yi Qing Luo, no matter what the reason was for you to lend a helping hand, I only know that you've saved my sister and also stopped Ru from doing something that he would definitely regret for the rest of his life. Nangong Firen's voice was clear and gentle. This kindness, the Nangong family will always remember it in our hearts. In future, if Miss Yi Qing Luo needs any help, I will represent the Nangong family to make a promise that no matter if we have to climb a mountain of swords or descend into a sea of flames, the Nangong family will not hesitate. As soon as he finished speaking, Nangong Firen fell to his knees. Brother, Nangong Lin could not help but spit out a word. Her eyes were filled with shock. For as long as she could remember, her brother had always been proud. Her brother was the most talented child in the Nangong family, an existence that everyone in the Nangong family revolved around. It could be said that she had never seen her brother suffer any grievances or pain. But today, her brother had knelt before a 15-year-old girl. This girl was also a girl that she had once held in extreme disdain. Even now, she still couldn't like that girl. However, she suddenly understood something. Why was her brother obviously in love with Yi Qing Luo? But he had been hiding the reason for his feelings. Such an insolent and unbridled girl. How could her brother control it? The god-slaying mercenary group's mercenaries, who had followed Nangong Firen here, saw Nangong Firen kneeling. He immediately followed Nangong Firen and knelt down in Yi Qing Luo's direction. As long as Miss Yi needs help, the god-killing mercenary group will not hesitate. This scene left the surrounding factions and countless commoners dumbfounded. Nangong family. Chapter 2046. Couldn't be envious. Couldn't be envious. Couldn't be envious. However, everyone felt that this was a great honor. But the main character who enjoyed this honor didn't seem excited at all. That unparalleled face that could topple cities was calm and collected. Yi Qing Luo looked at Nangong Firen calmly as her pink lips moved slightly, spitting out a few words. Remember what you said today. Wasn't this a little too insolent? But, why the hell did they feel that insolent was very handsome? Yi Qing Luo was a lady. How could a lady be so handsome? Those female citizens had long thrown away their reservations as they screamed Yi Qing Luo's name. The other men, their charm was not even comparable to a 15-year-old lady. Shouldn't they reflect on their actions? Yi Qing Luo didn't pay attention to the thoughts of the surrounding citizens and the various powerhouses. Her gaze swept past the death god mercenary group and finally landed on Nangong Firen. Her voice was still that calm and indifferent. There is gold under a man's knees, no matter how grateful you are, don't easily offer your knees. I have not done anything to make you kneel down to me. Her words made the death god mercenary group in Nangong Firen stunned. Before they regained their senses, Yiqing Luo had already walked past them as she walked straight ahead. The few of them were stunned for several breaths. One by one, they stood up from the ground. Right, Yiqing Luo was right. There was gold under a man's knees. No matter how grateful they were, they shouldn't offer their knees so casually. Yiqing Luo's target was Yifeng Ru, who was sent flying. Yiqing Luo's palm strike had used 50% of her strength. Yifeng Ru's internal organs were all heavily injured. He couldn't even support his body to stand up. Yifeng Ru laid in a pool of blood with his limbs spread out. His robe was stained with blood. He looked like a demon bathed in blood. Yes, a demon. A head of white hair. A pair of red eyes seemed to have merged with the pool of blood on the ground. The crazed expression on Yifeng Ru's face didn't diminish at all. When he saw Yiqing Luo, he laughed maniacally instead. Looking at Yiqing Luo, who was laughing hysterically. Yiqing Luo suddenly recalled the first time she met Yifeng Ru. He wore a plain soft robe and smiled warmly at her. At that time, she brought Yifeng Yu away from the ancestral hall but was stopped by second madam. It was Yifeng Ru who appeared and gave Yifeng Yu the best time for treatment. Although Yifeng Ru had always been suspicious of Yifeng Ru. However, she had never imagined that there would come a day when she and Yifeng Ru would end up in such a situation. Yiqing Luo. Ha ha ha, if you can't take revenge for Qian Qian, then kill me. Kill me and let me go to that world to reunite with Qian Qian. His hoarse voice was roaring like a madman. Those once gentle eyes were now filled with hatred. Chapter 2047. Yiqing Luo said calmly, if you really love Zi Qianqian, then when Zi Qianqian is arrogant and conceited, and thinks that she's the only one, you should wake her up, and not let her repeatedly sink into her own delusions. Her tone was obviously very indifferent. Her voice was obviously very light. But unfortunately, it was like thunder, exploding in Yifeng Ru's heart. He wanted to retort, to express that this was his way of loving Zi Qianqian, accepting everything about Zi Qianqian, loving Zi Qianqian without any bottom line. But, meeting Yiqing Luo's calm and indifferent eyes, Yifeng Ru's words were all stuck in his throat. If it wasn't because of your indulgence, why would Zi Qianqian feel aggrieved after losing to me? Unable to accept her own failure. In the end, for the so-called victory, she was willing to submit to the dark forces. When Yiqing Luo said this, she gave an extremely disdainful smile. In this place where martial arts are advocated, ability is the most important, where the weak are prey to the strong, self-confidence and conceit will not allow one to survive. What can really support us to go further, is our own ability. Zi Qianqian's failure was because her ability was obviously not strong, but because of your flattery, she was unable to recognize her true self and finally ended up in such an outcome. When Yiqing Luo spoke, her tone was very light and spoke very slowly. From the start to the end, Yifeng Ru had not opened his mouth to stop her. Yiqing Luo's lips curled, her eyes were cold, as she fixed her gaze on Yifeng Ru, word by word, extremely cruel. Yifeng Ru, Zi Qianqian's real death is because of you. You caused Zi Qianqian's death. Yifeng Ru's expression was a riot of colors. His face was filled with shock, unable to accept Yiqing Luo's words. But unfortunately, he was unable to refute a single word. Tears overflowed from his eyes. Yiqing Luo slowly stood up. I won't kill you, but you killed your father, forcefully snatched the position of Three Springs Sect's patriarch, and instigated generations of good people in Three Springs Sect to join the dark forces, almost becoming a traitor. You must atone for this matter. Yifeng Ru laid on the ground, his eyes empty, his thoughts had already drifted somewhere. These words, Yi-Ching Luo hadn't said it to him before. Whether or not Yi-Feng-ru would listen, she didn't care. Public opinion was a sharp weapon at any time. Even if she didn't care. But now, she was the representative of devil class, the representative of the world mercenary group. In the future, she would become Dmo Xian's wife. She couldn't allow any dirt on her. There couldn't be anything that could be used to attack in the future. Yi-Feng-ru was her second brother. Even if they were traitors. She had killed Yi-Feng-ru. Those who knew the truth would think that she was putting her family before righteousness. It was a magnificent act. However, those who didn't know would only think that he was cold-blooded and merciless to the point that he would even lay his hands on his own kin. Yi-Ching Luo looked at Yi-Feng-ru's dazed look and sighed softly. She took out a pill from her bosom. With a flick of his finger, the pill slid into Yi-Feng-ru's mouth. His eyelashes trembled, but there was no reaction. Zhang San, Zhang Si, bring second young master back to Three Springs Sex Dungeon. After the patriarch succession ceremony, then carry out the execution. Yi-Ching Luo waved her hand, as though she was extremely exhausted. Zhang San and Zhang Si were the first to put down their weapons after listening to Yi-Ching Luo's words, and chose to be loyal to Three Springs Sect's initial choice, choosing Yi-Ching Luo as the young sect patriarch. Hearing Yi-Ching Luo's words, the both of them ran over eagerly, one on the left and one on the right to support Yi-Feng-ru, young sect patriarch. Don't worry, we will definitely complete the task. Star. Chapter 2048. Three Springs Sect's farce had finally come to an end. Yi-Ching Luo's slender fingers pressed against her aching glabella. She was just about to stretch her waist. Her slender waist was embraced by Dmo Xian. Yi-Ching Luo didn't care that this was the nirvana realm which had yet to be opened up. She lazily buried herself into Dmo Xian's arms. Is there anything else that hasn't been settled? Dmo Xian replied gently, no, take a rest first, I will accompany you. Perhaps his voice was too gentle. Perhaps it was because his embrace was too comforting. Yi-Ching Luo actually really fell into a deep sleep in his arms. A golden road extended to the front, as far as the eye could see, as if there was no end. An awe-inspiring group of 30 people led the ropes that tied up thousands of people as they walked on the path created by the golden light. The historian who had been following behind the historian couldn't hide his thoughts. He quickly walked forward and whispered into the historian's ear, Sir Historian, the Yi-Ching Luo, what is her background? The historian's icy cold expression congealed as he frowned slightly. Why do you ask? Because I can tell that Sir Historian should be siding with Yi-Ching Luo. This historian and the historian were like brothers, so he didn't hold back when he spoke. He took a look at the surroundings and suppressed his voice, using only the two of them to continue speaking. Those two people from the earth realm sneaked into the lower realm, and that indeed violated the balance of the lower realm. It's indeed normal for us to capture him, but I still feel that if Yi-Ching Luo wasn't around, we should still give face to Godless Island. He paused. Anyway, that man called Yuhan seems to be related to the God realm. The historian didn't mention the Overlord. Because before the Overlord appeared, the Overlord was already siding with Yi-Ching Luo. The appearance of the Overlord merely made the historian more determined to stand on Yi-Ching Luo's side. The historian had been unable to understand. When the historian was probing Yi-Ching Luo's true profound grade, he revealed an expression. That kind of shock, as if he couldn't believe it. A young lady from the lower realm. Who could make the historian reveal such an expression? And after that, he directly sided with Yi-Ching Luo. The expression on the historian's face was somewhat complicated. After a moment of silence, he quickened his pace. Seeing this, the scribe immediately followed. Until the distance between them and the other court historians was 10 meters away. Administrator then suppressed his voice as he said word by word, the Yi-Ching Luo. is not simple. She is indeed only a sky-profound great cultivator. When the scribe heard this, his eyes were filled with astonishment. But the power that we sensed in the heavenly lower realm is definitely not only at the profound heavens realm. That is a power that can shake the entire realm of gods. He thought that when Lord Librarian had checked on Yi-Ching Luo's profound grade, he had intentionally concealed it for her. After all, when they sensed a strong fluctuation in the lower realm had already been destroyed. Even the master of the heavenly law was startled. That power was definitely not released by a profound practitioner of the sky profound realm. That's what surprises me. The scribe's expression was grave. When I was probing her profound rank, I sensed the profound heart jade in her body. That is awe. Who are you? Suddenly, a wave of miserable cries sounded from behind them. The scribes lost their heads out of fear, becoming extremely chaotic. Chapter 2049. Those 20 overcourt officials had unknowingly fallen onto the ground. The ropes in their hands had already been cut into several pieces. The surviving members of the dark forces, as well as Yuhan and the elderly, were all released. The librarian's face sunk as he shouted, "Who are you? How dare you disturb the order of the court officials?" The surviving members of the dark forces who had been rescued looked at their bound hands in shock. He had never thought that he would be saved. After Yuhan was rescued, his face revealed a joyous expression. To be able to appear in front of the court officials at this moment, and under the supervision of 20 overcourt officials, to rescue over 1,000 of them. Other than his revered lord. There was no one else. He joyfully scanned the surroundings, but after looking for some time, he didn't manage to find the revered lord. Just as he was puzzled, ghost female's sinister voice rang in his mind, "Yuhan, the revered lord has orders, bring these people to Godless Island." Yes. Yuhan accepted the order, exercised the joints of her hands and immediately raised her voice, "Someone is here to save us. If you don't want to be locked up in the heavenly prison, then leave with me. I guarantee that I will give you a chance to turn around." Yuhan's voice was very cold, and the power to stir one's heart was not enough. But, at this moment, those people from the dark forces, especially those few holy techniques in Pharaoh, were only thinking of surviving, to seek revenge from Wolf Holy Technique. The dark forces' main camp had already been leveled by the Imperial Palace. They had no chance to go to Nirvana Realm. If they had a chance to turn around, even if they had to lower their heads, they were willing. For a moment, no one rebutted Yuhan's words, as they all rushed towards Yuhan's direction. When the 30 court officials saw this, they were about to stop them. However, there was a formless power in the air that blocked their path. The librarian's face sunk. Circulating his profound energy, he struck that barrier. The moment the profound energy came into contact with the profound energy, it instantly dissipated. They could only watch Yuhan and that Earth Realm elderly, bringing thousands of surviving members of the dark forces, disappearing before their eyes. Nirvana Realm. By the time Yi-Ching Luo woke up, the situation in West Continent was already under control, and slowly stabilized. The West Wave Continent's losses in this battle were actually not too disastrous. Because of Yi-Ching Luo's relationship with Devil Class. The ones who suffered heavy losses were the dark forces and the small forces that joined the dark forces. Ling Fengning was indeed a sovereign king's talent. After the war ended, he took the opportunity to rope in the various forces that had participated in the war. In the name of the monarch, he set up a banquet to thank them for their help. All of them, regardless of their previous status. They were given various titles according to their performance on the battlefield. Although, because of the existence of the 4 great sections, the royal family of each continent was not considered the most noble family. However, he was still the king of the continent. They were second only to the four great sections. Being able to obtain a title, the various major forces were also very satisfied. Furthermore, it was also because of this battle. The relationship between the major forces had also become a step closer. Gradually, it evolved into a situation of mutual cooperation and mutual restraint. In this way, the Western continent became much more peaceful. When she saw the two forces' big bosses, who used to not interact with each other, now had their arms around each other's shoulders, coming to the old residence, saying to thank Yi-Ching Luo for her contribution to the Western continent. Yi-Ching Luo's mind, which had just regained consciousness, was still in a daze. Chapter 2050. Yi-Ching Luo went into a daze. A certain man who was standing beside her instantly emitted an extremely low pressure. Originally they were still smiling as they kept on praising Yi-Ching Luo and expressing their gratitude, but now they felt a chill down their spines. Their vision slowly shifted to the side of the bed, towards that man dressed in a purple robe, who looked like a banished immortal. They silently shut their mouths, succumbing to the overlord's might, timidly indicating that they were prepared to leave. Yi-Ching Luo stretched out her hand to tug Dmo Xian's arm. But she had just fallen asleep and had no energy at all. This raised hand didn't even touch the white veil in front of her as it drooped down softly. When her hand softly fell back onto the bed, Ji Yunchu's eyes widened. Dmo Xian's large palm wrapped around her little hand in time. Yi-Ching Luo held his large palm and gently squeezed it. Following that, she smiled and looked at the two people standing by the door through the veil, speaking softly, "Thank you both for your concern. I'm indebted to both of you for thinking highly of me. I've just woken up and my body is not feeling well. I hope both of you can forgive me." The two powerhouses' bosses nodded repeatedly. It's all right, were the ones disturbing Miss Ye's rest. After the two leaders of the forces left, Yi Qingtang's eyes lit up. Dmo Xian's cold voice was heard from the room. "Mo Yuing, go tell Long Yunzhan and Tong Ziqing, if anyone else were to come, both of them will receive them. Don't bother Lil Luo with these trivial matters." The two powerhouses' bosses at the door shuddered. This should be the first time they were told about trivial matters. The key point was that they didn't dare to get angry. Of course, they didn't feel any displeasure. Instead, he secretly sighed in his heart, the overlord really dotes on his wife. Only a woman like Miss Yi, who has descended from the mortal world, can be a match for the overlord. Yes. Suddenly, a soft voice, but the tone was extremely stiff, rang behind them like a ghost. The two powerhouses were so scared that they almost screamed out loud. They looked towards the direction of the voice. Unknowingly, a pink loli had appeared behind him. She looked like a pink dumpling. She looked sweet and extremely adorable. However, he had an expressionless face, a pair of empty and soulless eyes, and a body that was as stiff as a corpse. Ghost. The two of them didn't care about their status as powerhouses as they screamed and ran away. Mo Yuing stared at their backs as she stiffly raised her hand and touched her face. She tilted her head and blinked her cute big eyes. "Am I really very scary?" She froze on the spot for a moment. She moved her head once again. "I'd better bring Di Zun's words to the class monitor and Sister Ziqing. Overlord might really make her very scary. The overlord might really turn her into a very scary person." Inside the house, Yi-Ching Luo stared at Dmo Xian resentfully. Zhan was almost captured by those people from that domain on the battlefield and he's also seriously injured. How can we let him receive those powerhouses' bosses? Luo Yi Xian Yi Luo Shaoan said, "Ling Ling 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 Luo mean God. Yi Ling Luo Ling Yi Di Yi Luo Chen Luo Ling Long and Ling Chen Luo, He Luo, King and He at Ling Luo Chen Ling Ling Luo. Luo Yi R. Yi Ling Luo Yi." Chapter 2051. The smile on the corners of Yi-Ching Luo's lips gradually faded. After a long time, she laughed lightly. I know, even if I have the legendary overlord as my backing, it still cannot stop the expansion of humans' ambition. She held Dmo Xian's hand as she slowly leaned against the headboard. I have a god relic, a sacred beast and an extremely powerful mirage beast. Moreover, I have a bunch of brave and good fighters, a team of brothers who will definitely grow to a terrifying height in future. Behind me, not only Heavenly Academy, there's Guiyu, there's Ghost Doctor, there's also the main hospital, plus an alchemist guild, Mu family and Shi family, as well as those powerhouses, and you. Her voice was very soft. So soft that if one didn't listen carefully, one wouldn't be able to hear what she was saying clearly. All these are really the highest honor. Guess, how many people, because of me, will have their ambitions stirred? Yi-Ching Luo smiled sweetly. As though the person she was talking about wasn't herself. Dmo Xian sighed softly. The solemn expression on his face also dissipated a little. He understood his Lil Luo, Naturally he could tell that Lil Luo, really didn't put it in her heart. His Lil Luo, was really different from other ladies. Yi-Ching Luo, tilted her head, as she looked at Dmo Xian's peerless face with a light smile. A good-looking man, no matter how one looked, one would never get tired of him. No matter how one looked, she wanted to press him down fiercely. 18 types of teasing, displayed on him. Alas, it was probably because she had overdrawn the god relic's energy, causing her profound heart jade to be out of control. When she woke up, she only had the chance to stare at Dmo Xian with her eyes. The young lady's naked, undisguised gaze made Dmo Xian unable to restrain his laughter. His slender fingers touched Yi-Ching Luo's forehead, as he poked hard. You've just woken up, what nonsense are you thinking about again? Want to sleep with you? Yi-Ching Luo replied without any hesitation. Her eyes sparkled as she blinked, not concealing the thought of sleeping with Dmo Xian. Dmo Xian's smile grew wider. Which lady would talk about sleeping with him? Especially the meaning of this sleep, it was especially broad and profound. You can think about it after your body recovers. Dmo Xian's hand slid to her cheek as he pinched it harshly. I haven't even settled the score with you. How dare you not listen to me and forcefully use the power of the god relic? Do you really think that you're an iron wall? Won't I be devoured by the divine artifact? Yi-Ching Luo cried out in pain as her eyes filled with tears, looking at Dmo Xian pitifully. Activate your ultimate skill. The ultimate move of acting cute. Dmo Xian took the bait and released her face. He stretched out his long arm and pulled her into his embrace. He said in a bad mood, "You're always messing around. You clearly know that your profound heart jade is very likely to cause a backlash if you're not careful. How dare you joke around with your own life? Can't I say a few words to you?" It was an emergency. I couldn't do anything. Yi-Ching Luo put on a pitiful expression and continued to use her ultimate move. Isn't Fengling hooked now? Wait till I get the tranquil bead, then I won't be afraid anymore. Dmo Xian didn't look at her as he hardened his voice. Even if you get the tranquil pearl, you're not allowed to mess around like today. Otherwise. He suppressed his voice, revealing a bit of magnetism. I'll make it so that you won't be able to get off the bed and mess around outside. Yi-Ching Luo's cheeks flushed red as she shrunk her body into the quilt, but her mouth refused to show weakness. All right, I want to see whether it's you who can't get off the bed or me who can't get off the bed. Star. Chapter 2052. Dmo Xian's eyes dimmed. His Adam's apple moved. Suddenly he leaned forward and pressed on top of Yi-Ching Luo. A head full of black hair cascaded down. The soft hair brushed past Yi-Ching Luo's face. The feeling it brought was like a feather, teasing her bit by bit. Yi Qing Luo's heart skipped a few beats. Her eyes stared unblinkingly at Dmo Xian's handsome face, which was just inches away from her. On purpose. His magnetic hoarse voice was mellow like fine wine, exuding an intoxicating charm. Yi Qing Luo's cheeks flushed red, her eyelashes fluttered, not saying a word. Yes, she was teasing him on purpose. Deliberately, when Dmo Xian could only look but not eat. Using words to provoke him. Who asked him to release such a strong masculine hormone every time? After he seduced her and made her fall head over heels for him, he wouldn't let her have it. Now, it was time to let him have a taste of the feeling of only looking but not eating. Dmo Xian's thin lips curled upwards. That devilish arc added a bit of demonic charm to him. His peach blossom eyes seemed to carry thousands of charming lights. Like a poppy, constantly tempting Yi Qing Luo's vision. He obviously saw through Yi Qing Luo's thoughts. But on purpose. Teasing Yi Qing Luo with even more strength. It was just a smile. But it had already made Yi Qing Luo throw away her armor, her heart thumping wildly. You tormenting little demoness. You're the one who is doing it on purpose. Yi Qing Luo stuffed her head back into the blanket as she curled up and cried out loudly, "Ow, ow, ow, no energy, no energy, you're still trying to seduce me, must you force me to attack my heart with lust?" Dmo Xian was taken aback by such an earth-shattering remark. After a while, he shook his head helplessly. Only a shocking woman like you dares to say such words so straightforwardly. Yi Qing Luo snorted and moved towards the bedside. You're my man, I want you, desire you, isn't this a matter of course? Since you want it, why can't you say it? She moved a little. Her body bumped into Dmo Xian's arms on both sides of her. Yi Qing Luo could only give up on escaping as she wrapped herself in the blanket again. If there comes a day when I don't want you, or don't crave for you anymore, I reckon you will start to reflect on whether you're not handsome enough to attract me anymore. It was as if he was imagining that scene. Yi Qing Luo couldn't help but burst out laughing. She was just saying it casually. Dmo Xian took it seriously. His expression sunk as his 5 fingers suddenly clasped Yi Qing Luo's lower jaw tightly. A pair of black obsidian, dazzling peach blossom eyes stared unblinkingly at the girl beneath him. How dare you? His tone was tense as he stared at her. If you don't want me, I'll. It was rare to see such a lofty, noble, and elegant man behaving like a child. Yi Qing Luo also harbored some thoughts of teasing. She deliberately raised her eyebrows and snorted, "What about you? Do you want to kill me?" He tightened his grip on her chin. However, he controlled himself well and did not hurt her. Suddenly, he leaned forward. His scorching hot body was tightly pressed against hers. His head drooped onto her shoulder. The man's low husky magnetic voice drifted into her ear, "Otherwise, I'll trap you on the bed, making you never get tired of my body. You." Yi Qing Luo's face flushed red again. Damn it. He's playing this trick again. She would become so desperate to sleep with Dmo Xian. She must have been led astray by Dmo Xian. Bam! The tightly shut door was suddenly pushed open and a few figures rushed into the room in a hurry. Star. Chapter 2053. Luo girl, I heard that you used up your profound heart jade again. He didn't finish his words. The voice stopped abruptly. Rushing through the night from South Tide Continent, the minute he returned, he heard the details of Yi Qing Luo's great battle. Ghost Doctor, who was extremely worried, was stunned. Gue Wu, Zhou Mo, as well as Kitty Li, who was in Zhou Mo's embrace, were all stunned. On the bed, the white muslin fluttered. A man and a woman, one above and one below. Although separated by a layer of quilt. Although they were all dressed neatly. However, this gender, this location, and this posture, no matter what, it was impossible for people to not think about it. Stinking brat. What are you doing? Ghost Doctor reacted and immediately rushed forward in a flustered and exasperated manner, grabbing onto Dmo Xian's collar, lifting him up and throwing him to one side. A group of people suddenly rushed into the room. Dmo Xian was also stunned. When the Ghost Doctor rushed over, he couldn't react in time. It was only when the Ghost Doctor grabbed onto his collar that he snapped back to his senses. In the instant that the Ghost Doctor flung him out, he steadied himself, and stood steadily in a corner of the room. Ghost Doctor's face sunk as he pulled up the veil and immediately pointed at Dmo Xian as he rebuked angrily, "Lass Luo's profound heart jade has been depleted and her body is so weak that even an ant can't be pinched to death. You actually want to take advantage of her when she's down. Is that all you can think about?" Dmo Xian was dumbfounded by the scolding. Gue Wu coughed lightly. "What the Ghost Doctor said is extremely true. Di Zun, your actions this time were indeed inappropriate." Zhou Mo's phoenix eyes were filled with thick banter and ridicule. "Overlord Ah, this young master isn't as impatient as you. Why can't you control your lower body? Qing Luo's current body is not able to take up your demands." "That's right." Each person's sentence made Dmo Xian's expression turn gloomier and gloomier. The atmosphere in the room instantly turned gloomy. Everyone felt a chill run down their spines. Their mocking words were stuck in their throats. Cough, cough, cough. "We actually just wanted to see how Qing Luo's body is, and from the looks of it, she should be fine." Zhou Mo shrank his neck. A grown man knows when to yield and when to stand tall. He was no match for Dmo Xian. He decisively admitted defeat. He hugged Kitty Lee tightly and moved towards the door. "I've just eaten a mouthful of dog food, and now I'm going to spread dog food everywhere with my little wild cat. Bah! Who wants to show off their affection to you?" Kitty Lee glared at him in annoyance. "Other than you, who else is in yours truly's embrace?" Zhou Mo lowered his head and smiled wickedly as he whispered into Kitty Lee's ear, "Could it be that you really want this young master to show off his affection to other women?" "You!" Kitty Lee bit her lips as her cat eyes flickered with rage. Zhou Mo laughed heartily. Be good, be good. Don't be jealous, little wild cat. I will only flaunt my affection with you." Kitty Lee glared at him. "Kitty wants to reject you." Zhou Mo held Kitty Lee in one hand and touched his extremely devilish face with the other. "I'm so handsome, elegant, and elegant. I'm a handsome man with both beauty and talent. How am I ugly? It's ugly everywhere." This pair of sweet and childish lovers left the room just like that. It was these two people who broke the awkward atmosphere in the room. Ghost Doctor's expression was still extremely ugly. He stood by the bedside as his eyes were filled with disapproval. He stared at Dmo Xian and Yiqing Luo. He looked as though he couldn't wait to strangle the both of them. "Master Ghost Doctor." Yiqing Luo's soft voice was filled with a coquettish tone. "You've misunderstood. Ah, Xian and I are not like what you think. Star." Chapter 2054. It was still all right if he didn't mention it. The minute it was mentioned, Ghost Doctor wanted to explode again. "Not what I thought." "Then what is it? Don't you know your own body best? Allowing that overlord to do anything to you, don't you know how to reject?" Ghost Doctor was fuming as he grabbed Yiqing Luo's wrist, checking her pulse. "Why did I waste so much time on you? Is this how you repay me? Since you don't care about your own body, then what am I still doing here? I might as well return to my pill refining room, to refine my pills." He was obviously scolding her. But his actions obviously showed that he was still feeling heartache for Yiqing Luo. His mouth was sharp, but his heart was soft. Yiqing Luo heard Ghost Doctor's accusation, but didn't rebuke him. Instead she looked at Ghost Doctor with a light smile. When Ghost Doctor's gaze looked over, Yiqing Luo's pair of charming eyes would blink, showing an extreme grievance. Ghost Doctor watched and watched. In the end, he was defeated by Yiqing Luo's big move. He released Yiqing Luo's wrist and sighed, "Lass, your innate talent is very strong and your body is born with a profound jade heart which makes others envious. But you must remember one thing, your body is after all a mortal's body. Your current body, especially the damaged profound jade heart, is totally unable to take on any energy which exceeds your body's capacity. Do you know, if it wasn't for that overlord that fellow's exhaustion this time." Cough cough cough. Dmo Xian, who had been standing in the corner with a gloomy face, suddenly coughed violently. That dry and loud cough interrupted Ghost Doctor's words. Ghost Doctor stared at Dmo Xian unhappily. Seeing Dmo Xian touching his throat, as he kept on coughing, he seemed to have understood something. Turning his head back, he looked at Yiqing Luo, and changed the topic. "Anyway, lass, if there's a next time, even if it's the great Luo deity, he won't be able to save you." Yiqing Luo listened to Ghost Doctor's words seriously. Naturally she didn't miss out on the two words, overlord, that he intentionally mentioned earlier. Dmo Xian's cough was so dry, so obvious. Who didn't know that he intentionally wanted to interrupt Ghost Doctor's words? Yiqing Luo pursed her pink lips. "Ghost Doctor Master, say this time round, if it's not because of Ah Xian, then what? What is it that you haven't finished saying? Did Ah Xian, for me?" The Ghost Doctor averted her gaze and coughed unnaturally. "Lil Luo, don't listen to that old man's nonsense. Look at me, what can happen to me?" Dmo Xian stopped coughing and walked over to the bedside. He opened his hands and looked at Yiqing Luo calmly. The man's purple robe fluttered. It glistened with flowing light, as if it was plated with a layer of purple luster, and it was exquisite and noble. Yiqing Luo looked at Dmo Xian, who was smiling calmly. Her expression grew increasingly unsightly. Lifting her charming eyes, she stared at Dmo Xian coldly without blinking, and said word by word, "You, shut up." Dmo Xian's smile froze as his thin lips moved, but when he met with Yiqing Luo's serious expression, he still stopped his voice. "Master Ghost Doctor, please speak." Yiqing Luo slowly shifted her gaze towards Ghost Doctor. She was very clear that if Dmo Xian were to say it, there was a possibility that he would bluff her away. The Master Ghost Doctor never lied. And he disdained to lie. Ghost Doctor took a look at Dmo Xian before he opened his mouth. "I've already said this the last time, that battle with King of Darkness had seriously damaged your control over your profound heart jade. If you're not careful, you will suffer the backlash from the profound heart jade." Chapter 2055. Although the pendant that Di Zun gave you can temporarily suppress the power of your profound jade heart, you've forcefully used up the power of the divine tool twice this time. The Ghost Doctor's expression was extremely grave. Once again, you allowed the divine phoenix profound heart jade to control your body. Although this kind of domination was due to the divine phoenix profound heart jade's protective consciousness. However, Yiqing Luo's mortal body simply could not withstand the power of the divine phoenix profound heart jade. Ghost Doctor's gaze shifted onto Dmo Xian once again. If it wasn't for Di Zun expending 30% of his profound strength to help you suppress the backlash from the profound jade heart, you wouldn't have been able to hold on until now. Yiqing Luo drew in a breath of cold air as her expression froze. Lil Luo, Dmo Xian looked at Yiqing Luo's pale face as he looked at her with heartache. "I'm fine. It's just 30% profound energy. It's not enough to affect my body. I just need to rest for a few days and I'll be able to fully recover." Yiqing Luo shook her head. She pursed her pink lips tightly as she raised her eyes and stared fixedly at Dmo Xian. Her little face was pale, and her breathing was a little hurried. The ghost doctor and Gue Wu, who had yet to speak, could only stand up and quietly leave the room, leaving the space for the two youngsters. I'll go take a look at Xiao Yi. You, follow Ziqing and find a room to stay in first. It looks like you won't be able to bring her with you in such a short time. The ghost doctor dragged Gue Wu towards the door. Gue Wu was helpless and could only do so. In the room, only Dmo Xian and Yiqing Luo were left. Dmo Xian walked over and both his knees were placed on the side of the bed as he lowered his eyes to look at her. Lil Luo, don't look at me like that. I'm really fine. You can take my pulse and use your method to check on my body. His hand stretched out in front of her. The man's wrist was extremely sexy. It was as if his warmth could be transmitted from his wrist. Yiqing Luo fixed her gaze on the wrist in front of her. His breath sprayed on the top of her head. Yiqing Luo's eyes reddened inexplicably. My skills are too shallow. If you don't want me to tell, even if I take your pulse, I won't be able to tell anything. This lass, she really understood his personality. Dmo Xian helplessly curled his thin lips as he placed his hand on her head. Then, he moved closer to the bed and sat down. The girl was still angry. She snorted and turned her head away. But that didn't stop him from getting closer. Or rather, she didn't have the strength to stop him. Lil Luo, if I didn't expend my profound energy to help you suppress the profound heart jade, the person in trouble right now would be you. Moreover, the price you will pay is very likely to be your life. As for me, I've only used up a small portion of my profound energy and it doesn't affect my body at all. I only know that if I lose you, if I don't have you by my side in the future, that would be the most unbearable thing for me. It would be more painful than death. A teardrop fell on the bedding. She lowered her head, unable to stop her tears from flowing. The man panicked even more. Flustered, he helped her wipe the tears off her face. His voice became gentler and gentler as he coaxed her. The more he coaxed her, the more her tears flowed. I'm not blaming you. I'm angry at myself. The young girl choked with sobs as her voice was soft. She held Dmo Xian's palm tightly. His scorching and wide palms made her feel as if she was being cherished in his palms. Her heart was beating wildly. The gentler Dmo Xian was, the more guilty she felt. Star. Chapter 2056. If it weren't for her stubbornness. Dmo Xian would also not exhaust his own profound energy and help her suppress the agitation of her profound heart jade. You still have matters to settle in the Imperial Palace. Your existence represents the power of the Imperial Palace. There are too many people in the dark who want to take you down. If those people know that you have lost 30% of your profound strength, they will definitely take the opportunity to lay their hands on you. Saying that, Yiqing Luo's voice was slightly trembling. She stretched out her hand and grabbed hold of Dmo Xian's sleeve as she raised her head. Her reddened eyes were sparkling with tears. Ah Xian, before you recover your profound energy, don't leave the old mansion. The old mansion was overseen by Ghost Doctor, Ghost Warrior and Ghost Yu. There was also Zhou Mo, whose background was unknown. Moreover, the brothers of World Connect were all here. This was the safest place. Even if there were people with ulterior motives who wanted to take the opportunity to find trouble with Dmo Xian, they could also take care of each other. Dmo Xian's finger gently brushed past the corner of her eye as he spoke tenderly. Silly Luo, you still don't believe in my ability. Even if I lose 30% of my profound strength, no one in the Nirvana realm can harm me in the slightest. But I'm scared. Yiqing Luo didn't know where the strength came from, but she stretched out her hand and hugged Dmo Xian's waist. "Ah, Xian, I'm sorry. I'm too capricious. I've become too dependent on you under your unconditional pampering." It was precisely because he knew that no matter what kind of danger she was in, he would never let her go. Dmo Xian would always be by her side. He wanted to clear away all of her worries. "I'm your man, isn't it a matter of course for you to rely on me?" Dmo Xian caressed her hair. "But if I rely on you too much, I'll easily lose myself." Yiqing Luo raised her head, her reddened eyes were extremely bright. She stared at Dmo Xian's peach blossom eyes. "Ah, Xian, I've said it before, I want to be on par with you. I want to become a woman who is qualified enough to stand by your side. It's impossible for you to coincidentally appear by my side all the time. If I'm too used to relying on you, what should I do if you're not around?" Little Luo, Dmo Xian's thin lips moved. He wanted to say that no matter what, he would always be by her side. But on second thought, he remembered his own identity. He had already decided that Lil Luo was his future. In the future, Lil Luo would have to accept everything from him. If Lil Luo could only rely on him to live, their future would become extremely difficult. "Ah, Xian." Yiqing Luo suddenly left his embrace as she raised her head and looked at him seriously. Her pair of charming eyes were bright and full of determination. "When I reach the mystic rank, will I be able to transform my body and leave my mortal body?" Cultivation was a way to transform the human body. It was just like when she used the marrow cleansing pill to reconstruct her meridians. After cultivating, his body, which had been tortured for the past 15 years, was completely healed and became extremely sturdy. Moreover, after cultivating to the sky profound realm, one would be able to slow down their aging process and even retain their youth forever. It could be seen that the profound rank could affect a person's body. Otherwise, in the future, when her profound rank once again broke through to the sky profound realm, wouldn't her body still be unable to withstand the burden of the sky profound realm and above? Dmo Xian's eyes met with hers. His shimmering peach blossom eyes seemed to contain a pool of spring water. Sky profound is the lower realm's highest profound rank. Dmo Xian slowly explained, "Have you noticed that when the cultivators release their profound qi, there will be a difference in color, which is their profound rank?" Star. Chapter 2057. Yiqing Luo nodded. "I've noticed it." Her profound heart jade could detect the profound heart jade of a profound practitioner with a higher profound rank than her. She could also see through the other party's profound rank with a single glance. She distinguished those profound grades based on their color and the star patterns beneath their feet. For example, the yellow color of Huang Xian. It was a mysterious red. The earthy color of the earth Xian. The blue of the profound sky continent. Every time these profound ranks went up a rank, a 5-pointed star would appear beneath their feet. After entering the 5th grade of the sky profound realm, the color of your profound energy will disappear, and you will enter the colorless realm. No matter who it is, they will not be able to distinguish your level. Dmo Xian nodded his head and continued to explain, "After the sky profound realm is the legend realm." Legend. Yiqing Luo mumbled these 2 words as her heart tightened. "That's right, it's a myth." Dmo Xian's voice was rather gloomy. "After sky profound, it's virtuous profound, spirit profound, revered profound. Only 3 profound grades." Yiqing Luo was puzzled. After reaching the sage Xian realm, it will automatically be divided into 15 grades, and each grade is divided into 3 levels: the early stage of the 1st grade, the middle stage of the 1st grade, and the peak of the 1st grade. The difference in strength between each stage is equivalent to the difference between the earth profound realm and the sky profound realm. Yiqing Luo's eyes widened. 15 ranks. Every grade is divided into 3 levels. The difference in strength between each level was equivalent to ascending from an earth Xian to a sky Xian. Oh my God! It was too terrifying. Was this the Almighty's world? When you reach the sage plane, you will attract the heavenly law lightning tribulation. Once you pass through the lightning tribulation, your body will be reconstructed and you will completely break away from your mortal body. Dmo Xian tightened his grip on Yiqing Luo's hand. Lil Luo, based on your innate talent, it's not difficult for you to reach the level of sage profound. If you want to grow, I will not stop you. He paused for a moment as he held Yiqing Luo's hand and placed it by his lips as he kissed it. You only need to remember one thing, no matter how tough the road ahead is, I will always be here. Yiqing Luo's pink lips curved upwards as she revealed a smile. I will definitely become stronger. The ghost doctor went to Yan Shaoyi's room. After taking Yan Shaoyi's pulse, Qiao Jin handed over the antidote that Dao Yegan had handed over to the ghost doctor. The ghost doctor took a whiff. I need some time to confirm it. For now, let's follow the prescription from before and boil the medicine for her to stabilize the poison in her body. Qiao Jin nodded solemnly. Thank you, Lord Ghost Doctor. The ghost doctor gave him a few reminders. Then, she took the antidote and went to the medicine-making room that God Pirate had specially built. Qiao Jin took the prescription and brewed the medicine with extreme precision. After brewing the medicine, Qiao Jin carried the medicinal soup and walked to the bedside. When Yan Shaoyi saw Qiao Jin approaching, her face revealed a joyful expression. But when she saw the medicinal soup in Qiao Jin's hands, her entire face turned bitter. He couldn't help but complain. The medicinal soup that the ghost doctor made wasn't just ordinarily disgusting, it wasn't just ordinarily bitter. Previously at the general hospital, she was forced to eat 2 bowls a day. It was even more disgusting than eating shit. Yan Shaoyi covered her head and hid under the blanket. She said, I won't drink it even if you beat me to death. Qiao Jin also knew that the taste of this medicinal soup was really hard to swallow. But for the sake of Yan Shaoyi's body, Yan Shaoyi must finish this bowl of medicine. Especially in the afternoon, when he heard from Dao Yegan that the poison in Yan Shaoyi's body would cause Yan Shaoyi to become weaker and weaker, and finally turn into a puddle of corpse water. His heart couldn't help but twitch faintly in pain. Shaoyi, be good, finish this bowl of medicine first. After you finish, you can do whatever you want. Qiao Jin coaxed her in a warm voice. Not drinking. Yan Shaoyi covered herself under the blanket as she shook her head furiously, making me drink it every day, my entire body is bitter now. Star. Chapter 2058. Qiao Jin placed the medicine aside. His eyes were filled with helplessness as he looked at Yan Shaoyi, who was covered in the blanket, looking like a child. He seemed to have understood. Why was Qing Luo so unbridled in front of them? But in front of an overlord, she would show off her womanly demeanor. Was it because a woman would reveal her true nature in front of the man she loved? Yan Shaoyi was the same. Which meant that he, Qiao Jin, was the man whom Yan Shaoyi had acknowledged, the man she loved. This knowledge made the smile on Qiao Jin's face deepen by several notches. What are you smiling at? Yan Shaoyi lifted a corner of the blanket as she secretly peeked at Qiao Jin. She discovered that Qiao Jin was staring at her with a rippling smile. Yan Shaoyi only felt that Qiao Jin was mocking her for being afraid of the bitter taste. Immediately, her cheeks flushed red as she popped out her little head and stared at him. Slut Jin. You're not allowed to smile. Qiao Jin's smile became even more joyful. That unprepossessing face made that pair of obsidian eyes shine brightly. Even if he wasn't handsome. But this smile made Yan Shaoyi's cheeks turn even redder. This was no longer the redness of embarrassment, but the redness of shyness. Yan Xiaoyi thought that this was probably the ancient saying, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. In her eyes. No matter what expression Qiao Jin had, what action, what look, his words could make her heart beat faster. She actually loved Qiao Jin so much. Xiaoyi, I have a way to reduce the bitter taste, do you want to try? Qiao Jin's eyes were burning as he stared at Yan Xiaoyi's red face. Yan Xiaoyi pouted as she snorted, candied fruit. I've already used this method and it can't cover up the bitter taste. Qiao Jin's thin lips curled upwards as he smiled like a sly fox. When have I ever lied to you? Be good, drink the medicine and I'll tell you, all right? His voice was very gentle. His coaxing tone made Yan Xiaoyi's heart warm up. Yan Xiaoyi pursed her lips. She knew clearly that she had to drink this medicine. If they continued on like this, when the medicine turned cold, it would probably be even more bitter. She had no choice but to bite the bullet and drink the entire bowl of medicinal soup. The bitter taste filled her entire mouth. A nauseous feeling surged in his chest. Yan Xiaoyi's pale face instantly turned into an emaciated look. Her brows were tightly knitted together, and her facial features were twisted into a ball due to the bitterness in her heart. Slut Jean. I'm warning you, if your method doesn't work, I'll definitely. Ugh. Yan Xiaoyi was irritated by the bitter taste. Before he could finish, her body, along with the bedding, was suddenly lifted up. She had already fallen into Qiao Jin's embrace. Before he could react, Yan Xiaoyi's jaw is pinched by the wrapping fingers. A kiss landed on her lips. There were still a few drops of medicine on her lips. Yan Xiaoyi reacted and wanted to struggle. However, Qiao Jin's hand suddenly pressed on the back of her head and deepened the kiss. Yan Xiaoyi's breathing became unstable. The taste of the man invaded her mouth. A numbing sensation caused an obscure electric current to run through his body. He kissed her hard. Her body went limp and she lost all her strength. After an unknown period of time. Until Yan Xiaoyi had forgotten how to breathe. Only then did Qiao Jin release her swollen lips. He lowered his eyes and looked at the blushing, seductive woman in his arms. He licked his thin lips and said with a smile, "Is the bitterness gone?" Yan Xiaoyi's face turned even redder. Her small hands were placed on his burning hot chest, and the corners of her eyes were stained with a thin mist. She was so embarrassed that she couldn't even speak. Star. Not only did Yiqing Luo's body recover, she had also gained a few kilograms. Looking at the extra flesh on her waist, Yiqing Luo had a look of despair. Dmo Xian shot a glance at Yiqing Luo's non-existent little Ruru. Where's the meat? It's still too flat. If you want meat, I'll stuff a piece into your stomach, how about that? How could Yiqing Luo not understand the meaning behind Dmo Xian's words? She glared at him. Don't even think about it. Dmo Xian, I'm warning you, if you dare to do that, I'll strangle you to death. Looking at the young lady's serious look, Dmo Xian rubbed her head. Then be good and finish this bowl of medicinal soup. This is the new trick you use to force me to drink these nourishing tonics in the name of nourishing my body, but in actual fact it's to force me to put on weight. Yiqing Luo's eyes opened wide. Dmo Xian nodded with a smile. N.I. Ma. Star. Chapter 2060. She admitted defeat. Drink. Yiqing Luo had a look of facing death calmly as she raised her head and drank the greasy tonic into her mouth. She didn't even have the thought of tasting it as she directly swallowed it. This thing, she drank it once or twice. It was delicious. But for 3 consecutive days, she drank 3 bowls a day. No matter who it was, they would be sick of it. But that treacherous scoundrel man always had 100 ways to force her to drink those tonics. Dmo Xian's eyes were calm as his peach blossom eyes were filled with a faint warm smile. Looking at the young lady who braced herself to face death calmly, he smiled helplessly as he doted on her. It looked like this young lass was still very resistant towards pregnancy. But it was true. This young lass was only 15 years old. She still had her own ambitions and future to pursue. It was indeed too early to talk about children. After drinking the tonic, Yiqing Luo generously placed the bowl in Dmo Xian's hands. It settled. Now, I'm going out to have fun. Dmo Xian looked at Yiqing Luo's face, which had regained its color as his charming eyes became radiant. He didn't stop her like yesterday as he nodded slightly. Amen, but you have to promise me not to be willful again. You're not coming with me. Yiqing Luo frowned. She had finally managed to stick together with Dmo Xian for the past few days and he was leaving again. I know, you have a lot of small matters to settle and these matters, you have enough ability to settle them. Dmo Xian pinched her face. The 30% profound energy which was depleted for you has already recovered, you don't need to worry about me. Mentioning that 30% profound energy, Yiqing Luo instantly felt guilty. She lowered her eyes as she pursed her lips. I'm sorry. If it wasn't for her willfulness, Dmo Xian wouldn't have depleted 30% profound energy. If it wasn't for her persuasion, Dmo Xian might have already reorganized the imperial palace when he returned. Here we go again. Dmo Xian raised his finger and tapped her forehead lightly. The imperial palace isn't as important as you. Even if I didn't deplete 30% profound energy, even if you didn't ask me to stay, I would choose to stay by your side and take care of you personally during these 3 days when you were immobile. This man. He was really able to accurately guess what she was thinking at every single moment. Silly Luo heir, don't let your imagination run wild. Dmo Xian rubbed her head. I promised you, I will give you what you want to grow. These few days, perform well for me, I'll be right back. Yiqing Luo raised her head and met with that pair of tender peach blossom eyes. The thick scent of his hormones filled her nostrils. Resolute and cold. It made her feel good. The contours of his face were extremely gentle. His eyes were filled with a smile, and his thin lips were slightly raised. Charming and seductive. Whenever she looked at him, Yiqing Luo had a feeling that her heart was gripped tightly, as though she had lost her soul in an instant. She suppressed the restlessness in her heart as her cheeks blushed. Lowering her eyes, she obediently responded, N. The young girl's charming appearance made the smile on his lips deepen. Satisfied, he wrapped his arms around the girl's delicate body, bent down, and kissed her pink lips. Their lips touched, carrying a strong masculine scent. Yiqing Luo had yet to react. A cool breeze brushed past his cheeks. In front of him, there was no longer a man's figure. All that was left was his unique sandalwood scent, as it diffused in the room. Yiqing Luo froze on the spot, as her slender fingers caressed her pink lips. The corners of her lips still had remnants of his warmth. She smiled lightly, her eyes filled with satisfaction. This man was afraid that she couldn't control herself, so he intentionally slipped away so quickly. You're tuning into the Journey of the Soul YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.